Well, hey there. I'm going to show you how to do my Flower Power Granny Square on this loom. And it's a 5/8 inch loom. And I'm using 12 pegs and I'll do 24 rows. Now, when I use this loom to make granny squares, if I use 12 pegs, I always need to do 24 rows to make it square. So if you use a different loom, you may not have a complete square. It may be slightly rectangular, but you can use any loom you want with any yarn you want. And if you want it square, you can work out how many rows you'd need for that. This worked out so perfectly that I've been using my 5/8 for all my granny squares. Okay, so I've marked off my 12 pegs. The loom itself is an Element loom, and it's their 5/8 inch circle set. So it's just a little narrower than the 3/4 inch Nifty Knitter type set. And the yarn I'm using, and I picked two colors from it, a kind of light pinky purple and kind of a purpley blue here. And it's from King Cole. Oh, now I'm trying to think of the name. But it's a King Cole yarn, and it is got a lot of different colors in it. It's a self-striping yarn, and I decided to use a few balls of that because it's a nice yarn to work with. It's 70% acrylic and 30% wool, and it has so many colors in the self-striping yarn that I just needed to get about 5 balls to get so many colors, at least 5 colors in each one. So that gives me a lot of colors to do my granny squares. And because with the granny squares I don't need to use a lot of yarn, it's just perfect. But you can use any yarn you like and any colors you like. You can even do your granny squares all in the same colors or just a 2-color scheme or however you like to do it. Okay, and this is my Flower Power one. So this is going to be color 1, and we're going to do the square in it, and then with the pink we're going to do the flower. So the other thing, I guess, is my loom hook. I got it on Etsy from a place called Touche Crochet, and she makes crochet hooks, but she does also makes the odd loom hook. And it's a very comfortable loom hook. I've had it for a long time. Okay, so first I'm going to take my yarn, and I'm going to make a slip knot and put it on peg 1. And what I do when I'm getting ready to join them or when I bind it off is I usually take the slip knot off so it's all smooth on the outside and it's easy. You don't do it too tight, it's pretty easy to pick it apart with the loom hook. Okay, but you can do whatever you like. So I start off by putting that on. I put the loom hook inside the loop and I scoop up the working yarn. And then I just pull this tight on the other end. I don't need the loom hook anymore. Actually, it's in my way. I'll put it there. And then I'm just going to go behind peg 2 with the yarn like that. And I'm going to put the working yarn through and pull it. Okay, so behind and pull. Behind and pull. And this is a crochet chain cast on. Very easy to do. Okay, I'd say this whole project is a beginner project, not for your first or ever or anything like that, but more of a medium to advanced skill. Okay, so it's not a very hard one to do. But it was fun figuring it out. Okay, now you just put the last loop on there, you put the working yarn over, take your loom hook and just knit it off, and that's your cast on. And then you skip the first peg, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to do owl eye for all of those 24 rows. So it's pretty easy. You're going to go over peg 1, knit it off, you're on peg 1, and then you wrap 1 and 2 nice and loose, knit it off, peg 1, over 1 and 2, nice and loose, and that's all you do. And you go all the way to the end of the row. And this is row 1. You need 24 rows. But if you want to, of course you can make bigger and smaller squares like this. It's up to you. but this is the one I worked out to fit in with the project I'm planning. So there we go. And when we hit the end, we do a second wrap on owl eye, but I don't go over. Instead, I do an E-wrap. So knit off the E-wrap, come back, knit peg 1, go over 1 and 2. And then what I do when I'm here is I make sure I leave this loose. So I have a nice loose loop there for picking up. Okay? And then I go over 1 and 2 all the way to the end, and I just keep doing that, going back and forth, doing the E-wrap, and then skipping the stitch by just coming forward without doing any more knits on it than the E-wrap. Okay? But we'll just do that one more time, and then you'll find it pretty easy to do your 24 rows. Easy peasy. This is how we do it. Okay. Second wrap on here, E-wrap on the last one, and if you want, you can do them one at a time. Do that one and then do the E-wrap. I just tend to do it in a faster method, and you come back over peg 1, knit it, and then you're over 1 and 2. Now with owl eye, you always know where you're at if you just leave it like this, because you'll know you're on peg 1 when you come back, and so you'll know you'll just go over 1 and 2. That's one of the things I like best about owl eye. You always know where you're at. And if you're worried about what direction you're going, you can tell, because you just look down here and you can tell where there's more yarn and where there's less yarn. So pretty easy to put down any project you're doing, pick it up and know what you are doing. Okay, so you just keep going now. When you get your 24 rows, we will join up again. I'll show you the bind off, and then we'll go ahead and do the flower. So see you in a bit. Bind off. So I finished the last row here, and this is the last E-wrap on this side, and then I cut the yarn so it went around 1, 2, 3 times for the length of the knitting we did, just to make sure that we have enough. Okay, so we count this as peg 1, and we go down the first peg. We always go down the first peg, then we go up the peg before and snug it up a bit, and then we go around and down the new peg. Okay, up the peg before, and then around. Okay, so we can go down the new peg, up the old peg, snugging it up, go around, down the new peg, up the old peg, snugging it up, around, down the old peg, up the new peg, snugging it, and around, down the new peg, up the old peg. Oop, got some extra pegs there, and snugging it up, and around, and down the new peg, up the old peg, and around. This yarn doesn't particularly like the bind offs. Gets a little bit fat here. Okay, up the old peg and around, down the new peg, up the old peg and around, down down the new peg. Oop, from behind here. Okay, up the old peg. Okay, then around, down the new peg. Last peg too. Up the old peg. And around. And then I'm just going to go up to finish it off. Okay, and we'll just have to tighten that, take off the needle. Now all you have to do is take it off the loom. And it'll give us 2 loops that are easy to pick up when we turn it into a blanket. Okay, so we're all bound off, and now we're going to do the flower. So all I did was thread a needle with the yarn, and then I tied it off in here and wove it in a bit. Okay, so I'm right in the middle, and I didn't measure, I just counted down the number of owli and got in about the middle and about the middle that way, and that's all I need to do. And so and this is a nice square, good square shape. Okay, so now to do the flower. So you can start either way. I think I'll start this way. Okay, and you take your needle, and I'm just going to count up about a couple, so about that far. You can decide how high your flower will be. It could be a little bit higher. You can make it as big as you want, and you can do your first one and then decide if it's high enough too. So I'm just going to pull it through, get these out of the way, and there we go, got the first petal. So then I have to decide, is that going to be big enough? Because it can also go that way. So I might decide. So I'm back down here on the bottom, and then I go down to about the middle again, where we were, and just making sure you don't go through anything, which I just did. Go back to the middle, and then you can decide if that was long enough. And if you pull too tight, you can just take your loom hook and make them a little bit bigger. And I think I'm going to go up a little higher like this. So I'm just going to go right over it and make it a little bit higher. There, like that. And pull it. And this looks like the end came through that I wove through, but that's okay. I will put it through to the other side and make sure that I weave it in a little bit better. Okay, and then you're just going to keep doing that. So you just go in where you were. And then you decide whereabouts to go for your next petal. We're just going to work our way around. Okay? And so then there's another petal right there. And then we just take this, go back into where the middle was. And the reason we're doing that is because on this other side, I did go through that, we're also going to have a flower if it ever gets turned over. Okay? And then we're going to just keep going about what we think it's going to be. And pull the flower, and if you ever think it's too tight, you just take your loom hook and you just gently open up anywhere that you think is too tight. Okay, just like that. So I'm going to work around a little bit and then we'll catch up. Okay, so here it is, and I've gone around and done the flower, and then I just took a little of that color purple and just put it in the middle. So it had that. And so that is it, and you want to do it loose so it still stretches like this. This is why I was saying you want to keep it fairly loose because you want it to be able to stretch like the rest of it. And then this will be sewn together, and you can have all the same color or different colors, and it just gives you a flower. What you can also do, if you like that kind of flowers, you can do a flower on a flower loom and then just connect it too. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, bye.